cut across live to the briefing.
So that you mislead the people who were shortlisting. Gijima, which were the ones who were contracted by the city of Tshwane to be the one that begins to receive applications and to also shortlist, asked her that she must actually fill a form. In that form, which she filled with her own hand, she claims that she has a degree or stroke BTech, that she has a BTech, and therefore that is fraud. She has been drawing a salary of 1.7 million. That money must be paid back into the coffers of the city. We see that she must be fired. Firing her is not enough, but every little cent that she got from the city of Tshwane as a result of this particular position, she must pay it back. Every cent of it, she must pay it back into the coffers of the city. It must be paid so that it builds our DP houses. The second thing is that we have proven that Soli, the mayor, was part of this particular panel. If you look at the paper we have given you, firstly, you must give a person points on the fact that by looking at her qualifications, you can see that she qualifies. She has given her maximum points on that she has seen her application, she has seen her qualification, that she qualifies before interviewing her verbally. So we are calling for Soli to resign, but not only Soli. There's another person that we are living here, Gerald Shingange, the head of HR here in the city. Because Gerald was working hand in glove with the Gijima people when they were shortlisting. He was very much aware that this person does not have a post-matric qualification, but they went ahead, gave her an offer and everything. Gerald must also resign. This is the same person who is used to fire black people in the... So in Tshwane, this is the message that the DA is communicating, that people are not actually employed on the basis of their competency. They are communicating a message of border, a message of all the apartheid architects, that white people, even if they don't have qualification, they can run institutions, that they don't need qualification. Marietta is white, it's an Afrikaner female. She's put there on the basis of the color of her skin. It's Saudi. So what the DA has put in here is Saudi. We have a Saudi here in Tshwane, put by the DA administration. They have put Saudi, we have a Saudi sitting, we are sitting with the Saudi. The first appointment that Soli makes as a mayor, which he made in 2016 in September, he makes an appointment of Marietta Okam, communicating a message to the citizens of Tshwane that he intends to build on a foundation of collapse. You can imagine being given advice by a person who has no matric, who has no post-matric qualification, how to run such a smooth, such a big institution as the city of Tshwane. And that is why we have come out here. And this is nothing. We are coming. We want to warn the DA now. We are coming very hard. This is nothing. If you think this is the only proof we have on that, we are just focusing on this matter. We are coming very hard because our people in Mamelodi, as you will have seen, there are demonstrations. There are no services. Our people in the townships, there are no services that are taking place. Our people in the city, highly qualified professionals, they are being fired every day. 5,000 or more of people who were working as EPWP, they were replaced by DA volunteers. Our people's lives are put on a lottery system. We are coming very hard. We are coming very hard. We are not going to leave anything lying. Also here, they are running a brother bond pyramid scheme here in Tshwane, and we are going to prove it to you. A brother bond pyramid scheme here in Tshwane. Afrikaner, English, white people-owned companies are being put and placed there. But for now, we are focusing on the issue so that we are not all over. We are focusing on the issue of Okam. I wish to welcome the whip of the ANC, Comrade Aron, who just joined us. She's occupying the same position that Marietta occupied for 10 years as the boss of Tshwane. Obviously, when you are a whip of a party, there are no qualifications. But when you are an official, because he's not earning anything around from the ANC, the government council is not giving him anything. So we wanted to put these things on records. We're not bluffing, but we must also condemn members of the media. You are not coming here, most of you, on this issue for the first time. Yeah? Here, on this issue. You are not coming here on this issue for the first time. You know why the EFF has disappeared? The EFF disappeared because they rubber-stamped this decision. They were party. You were in council. You don't report. We have been monitoring what you are reporting. The EFF in council, the day where some of us, they threatened to remove us, where there was chaos in council, where we were asking that Marietta can be part, you were there. The first council, the second council sitting, you were there on the issue of Marietta. What did the EFF do? They were supporting that particular decision. Now they see a certain journalist, Hlatse, who decided to publish this thing on his or her own accord. Now they want to. Actually, that thing, when they were storming into, they were not storming into a meeting with Soli. How did they know that Soli is having a meeting? It was a coalition meeting. That meeting was a coalition meeting. They were meeting to discuss issues of coalition, how the EFF and the DA must work together. Because in council, we can give you transcripts. They accepted the decision. Now that we tell them we have transcripts that they supported the decision, what do? They have since disappeared. You are not with them now. Eh? The EFF, hypocrites of note who have subjected the city of Tshwane to be run by a person who does not have a post-matric qualification. You can go to them and also you can visit the archives. What was their attitude? What is their attitude as the party on the appointment of Okam? You can see it for yourself. The tweet of Floyd Shivambu is extremely unfortunate. Shem, he does not know that those people are just sleeping in council. You are not reporting. You see them, they are sleeping. When they say, hey, we are voting, hey, yo. If you want to see Obageng waking up, you will see him waking up during voting. Voting, when they vote. When they say debate, they are sleeping, all of them. EFF sleeping, all of them. When they say vote, they wake up. So we are raising these things because, and we are saying that we have raised it before. You are not also following up yourself as members of the media, the watchdog of our democracy. You are not following up with the office of Mukweban, Advocate Mukweban, public protector. Why are you not following up? Because the public protector is sleeping on duty. The matter reported to her by ourselves in 2016. You can imagine how much is...
28 September 2016.
On the 28th of September 2016, she's still in... What is there to investigate? When you place a person on leave, like the city has done. Because it's simple, Marietta, just go and fetch your BTEC that you say you have. Just fetch it from... If it's under the mattress, yeah? Agree, you can put it under the mattress or on top of the room divider. Yeah? Just go and fetch it. If ever there was a robbery, it's gone. Just go and request it from the university that you obtained it from. And give it to her one day, just one day. You don't need to put the person on leave. No, you can't do it. The person just says, oh, sorry, it might have been a problem when I was emailing. I did not attach. Let me go and fetch the attachment. So why are you placing a person on leave? Thank you very much. We'll take questions. Comrade Aaron, Comrade Aaron will add, and then we'll take questions and so forth. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Okubela. I think there's one salient point that is not said in the media. I think it was Minister Pravin Gordhan who spoke about the cooling off period of councillors. When you leave council, you must, even politicians, ministers, when you leave your seat, you must have a 6 months cooling off period, which most of the DA councillors are appointed as officials. They leave today, tomorrow they're appointed. I think there will be one executive director who's going to be appointed in the office of the Speaker. Councillor Peach is going to take one of the senior positions. They've appointed one of the business advisors in the city. Speaks to what they've been accusing the ANC about, which is called cadre deployment. And they're doing it with impunity. And there's nothing that comes from the media to speak about those ills that we're experiencing here in the city of Tshwane. I think you spoke at length, and I listened to what you were saying with regard to how the DA governs this city and how they want to bring it to its knees. Because we spoke to the issue of not necessarily only the appointment of Marietta Okam. The issue of the executive mayor, when he goes to the public and says he wants to resign, there are two things that must come out of that statement. He either lies to the public and tries to buy time, or he must come out and say Marietta misrepresented her qualifications and she must not be afforded an opportunity to go on leave. She must be fired immediately. Now, we have been delayed, I don't know for what reason. He knows the story. You can't appoint a person who's going to be your advisor and you don't know their qualifications. I think that's the first engagement that you have with whoever that you want to sit in your office. And this is it's a political appointee. It's a preferred candidate. How do you appoint somebody that you prefer without qualifications? Therefore, the mayor knew that Marietta doesn't have prerequisite skills to be in that office. Hence, Councillor Matsena emphasized the point that he went ahead and sit in those interviews so that he can ensure that Marietta is scored high, and he took along Councillor Brink, who's one of the people that are key in running the city. And one thing that we're going to see in the next few months, it's what comes from the city manager's office. He's fighting back about things that are happening. And all these intra-party struggles are making us not to enjoy the benefits of service delivery, rolling out opportunities. There's nothing that is happening in the state of Tswana. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think we'll take a round of questions, and then from that round of questions, then if ever there's a second round, we'll close the interview so that we give you enough time. You can rest. We are coming very hard with other things here. You must identify yourself, your publication, media house, and then you ask your question.
From FM. How have these documents been verified? And secondly, just the disputes over the payments, is it 1.2 or 1.8?
So, yeah, the question figure says 1.2.
And you say 1.7?
Yeah.
Yeah. Another question?
Rolisan from the Citizen. Okay. After speaking to COCTA says according to the Municipal Systems Act, a waiver, on the issue of a waiver is only required when a manager reports into the city manager. But OCAM doesn't need a waiver because she reports directly to the EM. So I want to know, has that always been the case that a chief of staff reports directly to the EM and not the city manager? And if that is the case, according to the regulations, if she reports to the EM, should the EM also form part of the interview panel? I hope you understand.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, let's deal with the 1.7 million and
Afro Media.
When you appointed the chief of staff, there's what we call support that accompanies that position. You appointed an executive director. There are benefits that comes with that appointment. Therefore, you can only limit it to the figures that she takes. But there are other resources, support staff, researcher, secretary, executive secretary, PA. They amount to 1.7 million, and I think the amount pointed out by Councillor Makubela is very correct. That doesn't look at the salary only. Look at the staff, the entire staff that supports the office. And this is one person that she likes power and control. There was a report that came to council that was kicked out by the ANC office, where Councillor Okamp insisted that she wanted to report directly to the city manager, sits in the top management of the city, which was something unheard of. It's an accounting officer with service delivery departments that sits in the top management of the city. The contradiction lies in that she wanted to bring a report where she wanted to report directly to the city manager and insists that's one of the highest office. This is what she says in the corridors of the city, that she occupies the highest office in the city, therefore she must be respected. Therefore, the 1.7 million, Councillor Makubele, you are correct in that.
No, maybe in relation to the waiver, let me just explain to Rorisan. Just go to the regulation of the appointment of senior managers. It's very clear, particularly if you go to section 12. In fact, I thought I will open it so that I can read it here. Firstly, when we are talking about the waiver of a city manager or a direct report, because this one we are supposed to go to COCTA to ask for that waiver, and not waiver not only in terms of the qualifications and so on. Let me demonstrate. Like, for example, the city manager did not have the full requirements of the post, which is one in terms of financial requirements, and they applied to the to COGTA to waive that particular requirement. The chief of staff in the city of Tshwane is a direct report to the city manager. He did not have those particular requirements. The requirements are you must have a national diploma in traffic policing. That is why now she cannot even be saluted by her juniors, because it is a requirement. Now they applied to the national department to waive. Now we go to a certain level. If, for example, you advise, and that requirement was that one should have a post-matric. And this comes an individual who have got only Maramato, for that position which gives him 1.2 million. It means this individual does not meet the requirements. In terms of our own internal policy, now I'm no longer talking about the regulations. In terms of our own internal policy, the individual the requirements must be waived. Here in the city of Tshwane, any other position below that of a direct report, you can waive in terms of the policy. even if it is an assistant director or a functional head, where they've advertised position, they said we want a 3-year diploma or degree. You have to what do you call it? We have to waive. We can even give you an example of a mere functional head, a person at the level of a very low level, whom that individual in terms of qualification, maybe the individual does not qualify. That person you can waive at that particular level. Now I'm saying here, in this case, even the letter of appointment is very clear that you don't meet this requirement. We give you a period, not in terms of the policy, not more than 5 years to obtain your qualification. If, and the letter is very clear, if you don't obtain those qualifications within that particular period, you will be relegated to a position on the same level in terms of requirements to that particular position. Meaning, if, for example, I'm a chief of staff, within 5 years, I don't obtain those qualifications. Meaning, they are going to look into a position which is equivalent to matric. You might be a cleaner, if a cleaner wants matric, or you might be an admin officer. That's how the policy works. And that is why the mayor is saying, he wants to check in the record whether this individual at that point in time was there any waiver. I'm saying you can't check at that point in time. Even if you can check it now, if it was not there, you can't do it retrospectively. You must do it at the same time. At the same time, you must say you don't qualify. But because this letter make an assumption, as our colleague have just said, that this person qualifies, you have got a B.Tech degree. That is why there was no need for waiver, according to them. Meaning this is a serious criminal offense for one to lie that indeed she have got a B.Tech degree, whilst the individual does not have.
Actually,
just to take us back,
there's another point that I think the media, they are aware of it. They must just go to their archives so that we deal with selective mail. Ockham acted in the position before. Yes. Ockham resigned today. The following day, without being an employee of the city, and that's what we've been raising. It's there if you check on your archives. Ockham then is appointed to act. Before even the interviews and the applications and the advertisement of the post, already it's prejudiced. She's acting in a position. She was acting in this before being appointed. She resigns as a councillor. Effective immediately is appointed to act. Then there's a woman who is pregnant, who was there, highly qualified woman. And we said that this is an infringement to the rights of women. She is then pushed out, that woman. Okam then acts. Dora is told, no, you are 4 months pregnant. You're reasoning because of your pregnancy, because she was 4 months pregnant. Just go home. We will put somebody to act. Okam is put there to act. The first gross breaking of the law, and that's what we reported with the public protector. That because by the regulation, you can't appoint somebody who's not an employee of the city to act in a position. That you can just willy-nilly go to a taxi rank. That you are appointing a person to act as a messenger, even a messenger. That person must already be an employee of the city. So Okam was acting before she even applied for the position. So Soli says, I don't know her. I don't know whether she had qualifications. It's a lie. It's a blue DA lie. Because you appointed this person to act. Where did you source her out from? You sourced her out from somewhere within the ranks of the DA because she's your boss. In terms of the apartheid thing, she's the madam of Soli. Soli makes tea for her. Yeah, you can ask sample people in the office. Soli makes tea for Okam. She even sends her to go and just print the papers there in the office. So this person is appointed to act. Then from there we raise the issue that this person can be appointed, you are breaking the law. Firstly, Aaron says there's a cooling off period by legislation, 6 months cooling off period. You resign as a councillor, you must wait for 6 months before you can work for any government institution. No, effective immediately you are appointed to act. You are not even an employee. So by the time you go to, you actually advertise, it was just, they were just going through the motions, you know. They were going through the motions. It was just, the interviews were just rubber stamping, just to do things. And no, they are rubber stamping on corruption and fraud and theft and crime. That's what they were doing. So let's not forget that part. This person was called to act and so forth. Yeah.
Just to respond to Smartly, look, we are not dealing with Gupta emails, leaked emails somewhere here. When you ask about the evidence, it's not a leaked thing that it's neither here nor there, subjective and so on. These are authentic communique evidence documents that you as the members of the media, you just phone any of the offices that you are referring to. You phone that Kitima Assessment Center and say, we have a communique between yourself and so, according to access to information act that exists and other regulations, we would like to have that access to the, we want for you to either authenticate or give us your version of this document. You go to the office of the city manager, say, city manager, on the 19th or the 9th of February 2018, you wrote a letter, we have an evidence of your email which purport to be coming from yourselves. Can you verify for us if it was indeed the email? So there's no flimsy, wishy-washy information that we could have caught somewhere in the air. It comes from the city. It comes from authentic structures. You don't need a cyber forensic expert to go into the server of the CIA.
Zolilwela, Israela, Zolilwela, Israela, Zolilwela, yo Israela, Israela me, Israela me, Israela me.